cutting carbs, 48-hour fasting, carnivore. If you're doing any of these, trying to get from 20% body fat down to 12, you're doing it wrong. So let me break it all down in less than 9 minutes to help you get from looking something like this all the way over to this without putting your life in the bin. We're going to cover 4 result accelerators to ensure you get there. The first being sleep. And you might be thinking, Leon, I know that already. But the truth is, you don't. Check out this study over here. They tested individuals all in a caloric deficit to find out who lost the most body fat on different amounts of sleep, and the results were quite shocking. Both groups lost the exact same amount of weight, as once your body is in a caloric deficit, you will drop body weight. But the group who slept less hours per night lost significantly less body fat and more lean muscle mass in comparison to the group who had good hours of sleep per night. So you can see how important your sleep is whenever you're pushing in fat loss. Sleep will determine how much body fat you lose and how much muscle you retain. As the goal of reducing body fat percentage isn't just about getting down the scale. It's all about maximum body fat loss. That's the goal. And having poor sleep all the time can act as a metabolic blocker, inhibiting your ability to lose body fat longer term. So it's important you look after it for your hormone's sake. So now that we've covered why it's important, Leon, what do we do? First is going to be your sleep quantity. You need to aim for a minimum 8 to 9 hours of sleep opportunity per night, which will equate to in and around 7 to 8 hours of actual sleep, as your body may wake up at different stages during the night. Secondly, and I cannot stress this enough, go to bed and wake up at the exact same times every single night. As best you can, of course. It may not always be feasible. If you have a family, work, things may get in the way. But for the majority of the year, over the minority, this is key, as that will help you maintain correct body clock alignment, and your internal body clock is called your circadian rhythm. With circadian rhythm alignment will always come better quality of sleep. And a recent study showed having good circadian rhythm alignment is what will determine longevity and health longer term, not the amount of hours that you sleep per night. Third, you gotta ensure your sleep hygiene is in a good place. I cannot stress this enough. Ensure you have a screen cutoff point in the evening, generally in and around 20 to 30 minutes prior to when you intend to be asleep by. This will ensure that your melatonin uptake is a lot higher, closer toward your sleep window, which will determine how fast you can fall asleep and the quality of your sleep. Melatonin is your natural sleep hormone, and blue light exposure inhibits that production. Fix your sleep, you can change your life and watch your results transform. The second result accelerator will be peri-workout nutrition, which is one area that a lot of people don't think about. But when you're trying to go from 20% body fat down to 12, your training performance will determine what physique you have when you get there. Check out some of these. Studies like this indicate that having carbohydrate intake before your training will give you drastic changes in your performance. Doesn't have to be any crazy amounts, of course, but your body's number one fuel source for resistance training will be glycogen, the body that your energy stores in your muscles from digesting carbs. It's key. Carbs ain't the enemy. And what I like to aim for, regardless of the time that I train at, which for me is usually 6 a.m. in the morning, I'll have an early morning session. 20 to 30 gram of carbohydrate within 45 minutes of training is a good rule of thumb. But if you want specifics to use toward yourself, anywhere from 0.5 to 1 gram per kilo of body weight within that hour window. And then 1 to 2 gram of carb per kilo of body weight 2 to 3 hours out from your training as your last big carb intake before you train. This will be completely dependent on the calories you're on, of course. If you have the room, push it up a bit higher. If you don't, aim for the minimum marker. But timing will count here to ensure you bulletproof training performance. The third result accelerator, the effective rep model. And you might be wondering, Leon, what is that? Let's check out these studies here. They cover how important training in close proximity to failure truly is. As when it comes to getting to 12% body fat, it ain't all about just training more and eating less. It's quality over quantity that counts at the end of the day. If the quality of your training is not there, you will struggle to hit that 12% marker, as you'll end up going flat as opposed to shredded. And this is the biggest mistake I see so many people's training. You're not training hard enough. When we look into the studies, the final 5 reps before you achieve true muscular failure are dubbed the stimulating reps, or you can call them effective reps. And they are the ones that will create change in muscle growth. If you're not achieving enough effective reps, you will lose, regardless if you're in a calorie deficit or not. And maybe you can relate to this. Where I used to struggle was not embracing the discomfort of pushing my sets hard enough. I'd feel the burn and then I'd just give up. Whereas you need to train past the burn to dip into the effective reps, to the position whereby you cannot complete another rep without having form and mechanical breakdown. Then as well, I used to program hop and wonder why I wasn't seeing any changes. If you're changing your training on a week by week basis, then how can you expect to build up the skill to train toward failure on any one movement? You need repetitions here. And what I mean by that is, and I don't just mean reps, repeating these exercises on a week by week basis so you can build the skill, the form, the execution, be able to push a set all of the way there to true mechanical failure. Now the other side of that then then as well. You don't need true mechanical failure for every set, but you want to get damn close. The goal of every session and the goal of every set should be to accumulate as many effective reps as possible. And if you're not pushing for that, you're leaving gains on the table. The biggest piece of advice I can give you here, film your goddamn training. It was a game changer for my results, because then you can see, are you pushing or are you not? It's very hard to tell when you're in the midst of a set. Exercise videos are like data collection. You can't manage what you don't measure, so measure your training visually to help drive your performance. And if you pair hard training with good peri-workout nutrition and some solid sleep, I can promise you will see changes in your body like you've never seen before. Small changes here lead to big outcomes every time. So what's the fourth result accelerator? That, my friend, is setting in a weekly rate of loss target. And this is where the magic happens. Make sure to check out one of my previous videos on the channel, which runs through setting your caloric and macronutrient targets up for an effective rate of loss. Use this video to get your calorie and macronutrient targets locked into a T and get taking your goddamn scale readings daily. Whenever you have 7 full days of readings collected, I want you to add all of those scale readings together, divided by 7, so you can find your weekly average. And when you get on to the following week, I want you to do the same. 7 together, divided by 7 for another weekly average. And now you're going to compare those two numbers to see what the difference is and are you moving in the right direction or not. And this can help align some changes for your calorie targets. And I've gotten the question before, Leon, what difference do I want to see weekly? Well, if you're coming from 20% body fat and you want to get down to 12, anywhere from 0.5% to 1% of your body weight per week is perfect. If you are above 20% body fat, you can look to push for a 1 to 1.5% loss per week, as your body has the energy to burn. But if you're at 20 or just beneath, you need to be more strategic. More isn't always equal to more. Studies show if you're dropping anything further than 1% per week, when you're already sub 20%, you will be increasing the risk of muscle loss and making it harder to retain your physique on the way down. 0.5 to 1% rules that out. It protects your training performance, your energy, how you feel, but also your muscle mass on the way down. And it keeps you in a position that you can still look to build on the way there. What I recommend is aiming for 1% per week from 20% body fat until you get to sub 15. And whenever you're sub 15, aim for 0.5%. As you be getting quite lean then, you gotta be patient and protect your body on the way down. And I was meant to run over an example there. If I was 80 kilo at 20% body fat, 1% of my body weight would be 0.8 kilo. That's the difference that I want to see between week 1's average weight and week 2, until I get to 15% or just beneath. Then every week thereafter, I want to see the difference as 0.5%, which would be 0.4 kilo then per week. And this is where you win. Results by data. Data will always drive results. And this is all you need to ensure you get there. Implement these 4 result accelerators and thank me later. But you could really thank me by liking and subscribing to the channel. It's going to help me reach more people out there. I've seen from the majority of you who watch my videos, you ain't subscribed. So hit that button if you found this helpful. And if you'd like a strategized plan so you can do all of this in half the time, or actually a quarter of the time, the link to book in a one-to-one strategy call with me is in the description below. If you want me to build out a step-by-step tailored process toward you and give you the accountability that you need so you can rule out the guesswork and have clarity, conviction and confidence that you'll nail the result. If you're coming from 20% body fat, we can make that happen in 12 to 20 weeks. Have a look at these guys. Proof over promises. And other than that, I'll catch you in the next one.